What?
What?
All right, can I please stop this Trash Panda stuff? I don't like it. I don't approve. Please, thank you, panel.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
We talked about it last night. He wants specifically to be referred to only as
That is
raccoon.
incorrect. That is also incorrect. Panda is great, and if you guys aren't careful, guys might all have pies in your faces today. So I would warn you guys to be a little bit careful. My prediction is going to be a 2-1 for Petrify. Rob, you can note that down. All right.
Yeah, 2-1 Petrify. I think that his lists are just
very wise,
slightly better. So.
Copying me, Charmer. Well done.
Yeah, 100%.
That was a much better strategy than yesterday's.
Well, I mean, I still dodged it yesterday, so
very soon. But
reverse sweep.
Talking about the deck list, I think the panel went over it a tiny bit as well. There's a big thing with players just preparing for their top 16 opponent.
Yes.
Checking their deck choices, just swim for Lumi, Petrify for Andy1 maybe, and thinking, if I make it past this stage and already I'm in top 8, I can maybe get lucky in the quarterfinals and still get money. So there's a decision where players think about only top 16, don't look ahead. We saw in the last WePlay tournament where Life Coach had a Storm opponent in the first round, but then he did not have him, going forward, but he still tech for it for that first round match. So it could punish some players. Swim may be regretting his decision of bringing Omni Knight, I believe it was, instead of Darkseer.
No, you actually brought Drow, which is interesting because on paper it looks like it's a little bit weird, but Gust is actually still decent in a mirror match for the red-green because it gives you the opportunity, if you see a stars align, much like we've seen players include enough magic, you can still use Gust, potentially shut down whatever you think the target is, right? Whether it's a red hero for Time of Triumph, green one if you think the emissary's coming. It also does negate activated abilities, so you could maybe use Gust to prevent Darkseer from throwing creeps, heroes, etc. around. And we're going to jump into the game.
We are live. Petrify is bringing his red-green ramp with Darkseer. Like we mentioned, decklist cannot be changed from top 16 to quarterfinals. They're now stuck with this throughout the whole tournament, even to the finals if they make it there. And Swim is playing his mono blue with a pretty good hand. Compel, Sanctum early on. No smash in the hand for Petrify, and no smash in the deck for Petrify.
Yeah, there is no smash. Instead, opting for the spot weakness to cycle, and it does provide some more consistency. The nice thing for Petrify, though, is you do have a early Mist of Avernus, which is fantastic for generating pressure, and you have an early Salamane's Favor. So if you draw a couple more combo pieces, or you draw, even one of those 8 drops, then you can get it down early and get a lot of value.
That being said, the flop very much in favor of Swim. When all your heroes survive as mono blue, something is going right for you, and you have the compels and the draw on the cunning plan there as well to help with survivability going forward as well. So Swim definitely cannot be mad about this current situation. Petrify missing some of his ramp tools, so he could have hoped for a better start, I think.
Yeah, Petrify not being able to kill any blue heroes, as you said, because of the randomized positioning. That Bristleback would have loved to have gone head-to-head with Luna, but missed. It is worth noting that one of the reasons that Outworld Devourer is more attractive is even if that would have landed in front of Axe, it now survives because Axe won less attack, Devourer won more health. So yet another reason why it is an acceptable tech choice here.
And Darkseer always the best option in lane 1 because you want to go over that lane, overcommit sometimes, and then you have that chance to surge something out and still help out on lane 2 or 3. And it's a great position against that Darkseer as well. 5 health on Darkseer, no item spot for 1 gold, obviously from Swim, but he has a cunning plan to keep this guy alive.
Yeah. Swim opted to put Zeus in that 3rd lane, and I'm a big fan of that just because the zap, the piercing damage from Zeus, will hopefully be able to help clear things up, go around that armor that the Treant provides. And you obviously also don't want to run into Bristleback in that middle lane.
There's the +2 effect from the passive on Outworld Devourer. It works on any card, not just spells, improvements as well. And that means that you can play Cunning Plan, the Sanctum Cunning Plan, and then Foresight as well. So
look at that. Outworld Devourer, a.k.a. Richard's Crystal Maiden, doing work early.
There we see it here. Stays alive, dodges that Darkseer in this 2nd turn of the game. You have the Sanctum Refresh. There's no counter from Petrify. There's no Maul in the deck either, instead favoring those Jasper Daggers that have been so clutch in so many games. And both players, no real counter to improvements, so solitaire play from these improvements cannot be removed the entire game.
Yeah, and obviously, if you draw something like the Salamane's Favor, you get a lot of value out of that early, whereas the blue improvements, specifically the Sanctum, the longer the game goes, the more that gives you value, and it will be hugely in favor of Swim with him being able to keep those there.
And Foresight can be played here. If you are Swim initiative, not too important just yet. 5 mana, not really an impactful round for these players. 6 mana though. Actually, the 6 mana would be an 8 mana turn actually for Petrify, so Time of Triumph comes online, as well as cards like Eclipse and Annihilation for Swim.
Yeah, when you get to 6 mana, which is the 4th round of the game in Artifact, that's when things are likely going to be going wide open in this particular game because of Eclipse, Lost in Time, if you draw it, Annihilation, all of that coming online for blue. And then, as you said, if you have even one ramp card, whether it's the Stars Align or the Favor, that means you have access to all of your 8 drops, and that is the Time of Triumph and the Emissary for the red-green, and we see those in hand already for Petrify.
And just a great early game hand for Swim. Has the Cunning Plans, has the Sanctums, has the card draw as well, the Initiative. Just has to start trying to find those late game options like Annihilation, like Eclipse, like Thunder God's Wrath even, in 2 turns.
Yeah, when you have access to 2 Sanctums that you know are going to be around almost forever, unless Petrify gets something from the Secret Shop, could be an Orb, could be a Maul from the Secret Shop, but otherwise, they're going to stick around. You've got to feel really good.
Cunning Plan comes in. The second, the multicast on the Cunning Plan as well.
So between Outworld Devourer's passive and Ogre's passive, Swim is getting a lot of value in these early turns.
And the Zaps from Zeus help even more, bringing down everything by 2 HP, trading a creep there on the left, and bringing Triad down quite low. But this turn is going to be very important here for Petrify. He has the chance to find a Stars Align. And he has initiative as well, so we'll see what happens here. Swim can answer with Astral Imprisonment, although Jasper Daggers have been bought by Petrify, so he has the counter to that.
And Canna is going to be going in that first lane, much like Darkseer. It's one of those heroes that has a preference for the first lane because it allows you to kind of snowball your utility. With Canna, you want those creeps giving you value. And then with Darkseer, you want to be able to throw your units to the other lanes. So, going to be facing off there.
We'll see what the decision is here from Swim.
Interesting. Swim might be saying that, you know what, if my opponent's going to get a Time of Triumph off in this first lane, it's just going to chew through the creeps that Cannon provides anyway, so maybe they're better suited here in the middle. I like this, actually.
There's a Stars Align draw from Petrify, so the Time of Triumph can come down this turn, or the Emissary. If Astral Imprisonment is used, Swim has it, or Petrify has the Jasper Daggers anyway, so he's not afraid of using the Stars Align here. And there's little that Swim can do here. He can play Dimensional Portal to provide some blockers. The Imprisonment does come down, but we'll see Jasper Daggers, and even then, Time of Triumph is still a possibility for Petrify. So,
yeah, that's a very interesting choice because that's Swim saying I'm more worried about Emissary here. And when you say something like that to an opponent like Petrify, he's a smart guy. So he says, if you didn't want me to play Emissary, I don't think you have Annihilation in hand, because that's a really easy answer for Emissary, whereas it's not so much to Time of Triumph because those heroes will come back.
So although the Darkseer is stunned, the creep is still dying to retaliate from the +4 from Time of Triumph. So even with an immobile Darkseer, this creep is dumb enough to attack him and still die. So creep, Richard, get your stuff together, please. We'll see Swim with 5 mana. What can he really do here? He can play for initiative, but again, at 5 mana, it's not an explosive round for Swim yet. Dimensional Portal, it'll just be dying to act. So there aren't really too many options here. You can compel this creep away. And now you might see Jasper Daggers from Petrify to unstun the Darkseer, pull through the 20 damage now, and the cleave on the Outworld Devourer, killing it anyway.
That is an awful lot of damage on that poor creep. He didn't deserve it.
He had it coming.
He owes Darkseer money or something.
And now we can see Darkseer surge effective. If Petrify thinks that Darkseer by itself can take control of his lane, we don't have any more deployments. All 5 heroes are on the board for Petrify. He can move this axe away and maybe just plow through lane 3 as well.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I really like the idea of sending the axe. And the reason I like that is because next turn, with the Salamane's Favor, you're going to naturally be able to play Emissary here anyway. So you'll still have the opportunity to snowball. So already generating pressure in another lane makes an awful lot of sense. And again, Petrify recognizes this. Very good player. And I think that's a really good call.
Now the portal does come down. Now the axe cleave isn't really a thing. One of those creeps will still be dying to the cleave from Darkseer, but still some damage being pushed through for Swim, some amount of blockers on this lane. But it's looking pretty good for Petrify, able to find that ramp early on. The turn 3 Time of Triumph is always very positive for this deck list.
Yeah, the sooner that you can Time of Triumph against blue, the better, because if you expect them to keep sweeping your board, what Time of Triumph does for you is it means you're going to continue to have a clock every time that the hero is up because of the siege damage, and with the exception of Annihilation, you become far more resilient against the damage-based clears, right? The Eclipses have to work that much harder to kill your heroes, even with the piercing damage. Cards like At Any Cost kind of just tickle after a Time of Triumph, so it's very important to get that off early.
Initiative stolen by Swim, the first of those Arcane Assaults used without an Ogre to multicast, so that card is now down the drain. There are 3 in the deck for Swim, though, so he has 2 more options. And here we see a Sanctum. You can see a Prey on the Weak with 4 different Hounds coming down and Dimensional Portal. Instead, the Revelations comes out first. Double card draw there and the Zap. Now the Fountain Flask will come down on Treant, saving it.
Yeah, I think that was why there was a desire to have initiative. You wanted the Zap to clear before there was any reaction. Saves the Zeus.
And now with his extra Zap on Treant, the Prey on the Weak gains some extra value, which is why Dimensional Portal was played first. We'll see Zeus being threatened here with the cleave damage from Axe and obviously the -2 armor taking 6 damage. And I think a Prey on the Weak can come down here just to add some extra damage to this tower. And of course, red-green does not really have an answer to AoE. The cleave is really the best answer, which it's not bad. It still is something, but you don't have the board clears, you don't have, well, you could have Burning Oil, but it's a pretty bad card.
Cleave helps, but because of the way the units kind of collapse in, it takes time, right? There's going to be multiple turns where those dogs are hitting the tower, getting chip damage in, and that's really important for the blue deck because you need to get to 20 or less for Bolt of Damocles to finish off a tower. It's also really important because Swim only runs 1 bolt.
Now the Cloak has to come down here with initiative 4, Petrify to dodge the Eclipse because Luna has not died yet. It's at 4, well, it died this turn. It's at 4 charges. Could 1-hit kill the Darkseer, obviously piercing damage from Eclipse. We're at 6 mana, so Petrify has to know this. He has to either play an Emissary now to soak up damage as well, or the Cloak first just to guarantee you play around the Eclipse.
Yeah, these two have played against each other an awful lot, so we're going to see a lot of proper reads and predictions, I think. A lot of back and forth. This is a really exciting series to cast.
And this is where Eclipse comes online, Annihilation comes online, even Lost in Time. Petrify, when you start ramping up, you kind of use cards, and you lose card advantage, and now you have a very few cards, but the Emissary does stay up for Petrify. That
is the worst possible outcome, in my opinion, for that Lost in Time for Swim. Almost none of those cards are relevant. Roseleaf, I mean, is always a blocker, but Ion Shell and Viscous Nasal Goo are like casualties of the deck. I mean, you're running them because of the heroes, not because you actually want the cards.
Now, Annihilation is still an option for Swim, so I think Petrify is trying to bait out a pass first. Trying to pretend, oh, you lock my Emissary. Oh, no, I can't play any cards. But all of a sudden, the moment that this Foresight might come down from Swim, if he takes the bait, I think the Emissary will insta-come down from Petrify. And there it is, that Foresight. And now I think Petrify has to respond now that the mana has been cleared with the Emissary. So the mind games in favor of Petrify. Swim, of course, could not know. Does not have our information. He had to kind of go for that bait. But Petrify very much ahead now with Darkseer on the board and the Emissary as well. Annihilation will have to answer that lane next turn.
Yeah, the good news is Swim gets 3 heroes to deploy next turn, so they can come down and potentially annihilate that lane. The bad news, however, is that all of these towers are kind of under siege by Petrify at the moment, and this is going to be a lot of pressure.
Also, the good news for Petrify, or for Swim rather, is that because there is only a green hero in lane 1, there isn't really an answer, even with initiative, to a spell from Swim. Green is great for ramping, but little else. They don't have enough magic. They don't have Berserker's Call or Duel. And of course, you don't have Gust without playing Drow in your deck.
So the other good news for Swim here is this Axe has a vendetta against this creep. Does not believe in attacking towers. I'm not really shocked. Axe is known for kind of just killing creeps endlessly when he should be attacking towers, but murder is more fun than structure destruction, I guess.
A whole lot of items for Petrify. Stonehall Cloaks, Bot, Town Portal Scroll, and Blink Daggers as well, which is sometimes the issue for these. Well, when you have Darkseer, it's not as big of an issue. You have the Surge ability to move around as well with mobility, but this turn is Swim's chance to really answer back. He has 2 Sanctums. He has a chance, well, Ogre's dead actually, so he cannot multicast, which is a big issue rather.
So you may have noticed there's some giant red numbers that keep appearing on the screen. And Swim is down to less than 10 seconds of his timer, while Petrify has an impressive 3+ minutes, because with the spectate the way that it works, this is actually going to update here in a moment. There you go with the plus 30 seconds. So Swim is now kind of operating under the gun a bit.
And there's the very smart play from Petrify. He doesn't have an answer in lane 1. He expects Annihilation. He moves the Emissary instead to a much wider lane. But the Sanctum and Double Thunder God's Wrath can come down here.
Yeah, you have to imagine that's exactly what Swim's game plan is from this first lane after the Emissary goes away.
And Swim with perfect draws at the beginning of the game with all these great early game cards like Cunning Plan, Compel, Sanctum, and Foresight, and now he finds all his top end with 3 Thunder God's Wraths and Annihilation, for example.
So, some heroes.
Triad and Legion both go down.
Are thirsty and going back to the fountain, but unfortunately that means we're seeing another Emissary from Petrify here.
Annihilation has been spent. There is no mana here. Sanctum has been refreshed. Zeus will be dying. We're 4 damage off of the kill here. An item already equipped on Darkseer. Cannot get the lethal. And 3 Emissaries found for Petrify early on, plus the Time of Triumph. Really good draws for him as well. Has control of lane 1. If this is Annihilation in lane 2, it feels bad. You have 2 heroes, so instead I think you have to play an Eclipse maybe, but with the Emissary here.
You just see another Thunder Gods because it gets rid of the Axe in the 3rd lane as well.
But now this Emissary kills both blue heroes, kills a creep here, and he's not a hero, but he's playing like one.
Yeah, that is a big unit, and it might get even bigger here in a moment. Now, Swim, again, having to make these snap-fast decisions after the deploy phase because with only 8 seconds left, there's not a lot of time to kind of mull around your options.
Now, Ignite will be played here. The Prey on the Weak is useless. There are no damage units, so I think it will have to be an Ignite. Plus an Arcane Assault maybe for initiative, but again, Solitaire turn next time. Only Darkseer on the board. Ogre coming down for Swim, and 4 heroes. 2 turns away from coming back down for Petrify.
Yeah, that's what the Thunder God's Wrath plays do. When you get to mana turn 7 in this mono blue deck, it buys you a big window of opportunity.
The Helm of the Dominator found for Swim in the Secret Shop with 3 Emissary potentially being on the board, so this is massive for Swim.
Wow.
Initiative in his favor as well. Ogre will annihilate lane 1, reset it, and without any heroes to answer back in lane 2, we're going to see
a stolen Emissary.
The Helm equipped onto Kana, and the stolen Emissary with the obviously with the Kana synergy is fantastic as well. So Swim going to take full control of this game.
What did Swim do to get the love of Richard?
And again, he finds the perfect draws as well. Annihilation found again, second one in hand. There's the first one being used. A 1-for-1 trade, but they're taking the Emissary down with it and keeping this tower at 4 HP, like you said. With blue, you never know. Even if it's only 4 HP, the whole board can be reset, and you're back to square one.
Yeah, if you have 4 HP, you have 40 HP. That's just the way that it works.
Emissary buff is used at the very least, but it's going to be the Emissary being stolen, or the Stonehall Leap, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, you could take the Stonehall, but the Emissary still makes an awful lot of sense because you can also prey on the weak here, so that you get something smaller in front of the Stonehall instead of risking that Emissary getting low.
And there's the Emissary steal.
Decides he wants that there anyway.
The Prey on the Weak should come down here. And unfortunately, the buff has already been used by the Emissary from Petrify with initiative. We saw Petrify there clapping in response to the Helm being played.
Yeah.
Obviously not very happy.
Nodding his head. He knows that Swim has sacrificed a small animal to Richard for this sweet Helm.
Now Ignite can be played. In this same lane, it's going to just be full control for Swim here.
Yeah, he's turned his mono blue deck into Salamene Storm in many ways, right? Now that you have Prey on the Weaks, you've got the Emissary.
The damage cannot be pushed through here. Only 6 available, even with an Eclipse play to clear both of these creeps. There is not enough damage here. At any cost, comes down instead. Going to push 4 damage this turn and can push 4 next turn as well.
Yeah, but that's still fine because right now you have a bolt and you have 2 towers that are low. So as long as one of them goes down, you're going to be in a position to take the other one with the bolt. And with this Emissary in the middle lane, there's a strong chance that you can take the middle.
Not only that, but I mean, the Ancient Tower is a possibility in the middle. We have Prey on the Weak, you have a ton of creeps, you have the Emissary buffing every single time, so that might just be a two-turn clock. the tower taken down this turn, and then maybe next turn the Ancient can be pressured. If another Prey on the Weak is found, for example, could be a big deal for Swim.
So with this deployment, Petrify saying, look, this board is way too wide, and now that that emissary is there, I cannot take the middle, right? So I'm going to this first lane because I need to get this tower down. And I'm going to the third lane because I'm hoping that I can get a 3-hero time of triumph off. Now, sadly, he doesn't draw it, but that's the game plan. The downside, though, is that tower at 32 health is not low enough, and Swim's going to come back and bolt there next turn.
And because no creep is found, you can't take this tower and blink the axe at the same time because there isn't a Stonehall lead or a Bronze Engineer to play here. So even with a mist buffing the creep to 3, it's still 1 point away from lethal, so Swim has to be very careful, or Petrify. We mentioned the fact that even if it's at 1 HP, it's still possible you can't take that tower back, so Petrify blinks out anyway, leaves this creep to try and do the job. Darkshire can come down next turn as well to seal the deal here.
Now, it's interesting. Looks like Petrify went here.
I make this look easy.
I can only assume this is because at some point he's hoping to slow down the Ancient, or because he has so many blink daggers, maybe this is a bit of a mind game.
We see that Eclipse can come down, would insta-kill the axe and the creep, and guarantee Swim full control of this possible Ancient kill next turn. He might just be keeping initiative, though, for the Annihilation in lane number 3.
And instead we see the Astral Imprisonment on the axe.
Now initiative back in favor of Petrify. There is not an Arcane Assault in hand for Swim, so, but again, there aren't really any answers from Petrify. His hand is totally green. He does not have duels. He does not have Berserker's Call.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm not really certain that Swim cares about initiative in that third lane, because again, all you have to do is not lose this time around and then have initiative the following round when we get to mana turn 10, because you've got the bolt. So by taking this tower down, you really just have to not lose here, and then you have a path to victory.
Well, both your heroes are dying, but Astral Imprisonment is available. You can use on your own hero, or instead Annihilate. I mean,
just Annihilate.
The 3-for-2 trade is pretty juicy for Swim, I think. It does, if you want to stall out, it's great. You have Ogre coming in next turn as well, so...
It's more than juicy. I mean, it just wins the game, right? Because at this point, the only red hero left is Axe. And if that Axe has to blink to the right to protect, then you're opening up a potential Ancient push in the middle. And if the Axe does not go to the right, then there's no chance of like a duel or a call stopping you from bolting. So
now we'll see the Ogre come down lane 1. 1 HP on this tower. But again, with only a green hero here, there's not much that Petrify can do to push through initiative or use initiative in his favor in this round.
All right, so we do see an Arcane Assault come for Swim. There's no Blink Daggers, though, so this Ogre is actually stranded and doesn't have a way to jump to the last lane to bolt. That's...
He can Astral Imprisonment to save itself?
It's rather interesting. It looks like...
The Darkshire's going to get a blocker up for Petrify. He can equip a Blink Dagger and move this Darkseer away. He wants to save if he thinks the second lane is going to be under pressure with the Emissary buff as well. We do see a Prey on the Weak for Swim, actually, so
yeah,
we'll have a few dogs.
Swim's got a lot of extra damage still available in that middle lane, so it's possible that he's trying to push that Ancient kill, but I am still, I have to admit, rather surprised that there wasn't some presence or at least some way to get there in that third lane for a bolt on the second tower.
Time to get creative.
Sanctum comes down in the middle lane.
Oh, even better.
And the bolt can even be used to push the Ancient kill this turn.
Right.
With Prey on the Weak in hand, with the Emissary buff still being resolved this next turn, plus the 20 damage from the bolt,
Sanctum,
it could be enough.
Yeah, I liked Swim's game plan on trying to pressure that Ancient. I'm just surprised that he didn't leave him leave himself a secondary out in the third lane. But what do I know, right? There's a reason that Swim is in this tournament.
Arcane Assault used for initiative here. You can use Eclipse, and it would kill everything on the board, and then refresh.
Yep. Wow, that faster animation makes Eclipse a machine gun now.
Swim plays Prey on the Weak, and get the Emissary buff as well. And I think this will be game. 55 damage starting at the moment.
Yeah, even if the Emissary doesn't finish it off, much like you said, we do have a refresh and a bolt.
And that's 83 damage coming through, so Swim will win the game. The insta-concede from Petrify, obviously not very happy with that Helm purchase, for example, and just the way this game turned out. He had a great start, but Swim, I think, had great card draw. Started off with great, early game cards, transitioned to the mid-game card with Annihilation, and then had the perfect late-game cards as well. So props to Swim.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic pickup from the Secret Shot, but again, we talked about it before. The longer the game goes, the more Swim's improvements are of value there, right? The Sanctums are huge in the late game. When you can play Thunder God's Wrath 3 times in the same turn, you're going to have a good time.
And of course, there's no smashing the deck for Petrify, maybe teching for the list that Andy1 brought instead of Swim's list, so that maybe being, punishing Petrify a tiny bit, have no answers, no maul either for those Sanctums, for example. Petrify is queuing Swim. Likes to take his time.
Yeah, he needs
to drink some water.
Needs a drink, right? Hydration is important.
Talking about drinks, this is the weapon of mass destruction that Slacks used to obliterate my phone yesterday. So we're framing people now. Apparently, my banana. Well, this is Slacks.
Yeah.
A vicious man.
Did you put it in rice?
Well, no, my phone is dead. It's passed away, Charmer. There's no saving it. I'm phoneless.
You didn't try the rice trick?
I don't know how to go to the airport. I can't leave the country. It's just terrible.
If anything happens to your phone, you can fix it by putting it in rice. If it gets ran over by a Jeep, you can put it in rice and it fixes it.
I'm not sure about that one, but looking at the hands here, both players playing red-green. Petrify, in theory, has the advantage. He has the Darkseer in his deck, which in theory is better for the mirror, but Drow can still be very useful. We have the Gust that can stop a lot of combos. And Swim has the Stars Align, has 2 times the Triumphs, has the Berserker's Call. If he draws one more.
Yeah, Swim is looking really good right now in terms of pieces of the puzzle in the opening hand. And again, like you said, while Darkseer provides the mobility, the fact that Drow is in your deck means you have access to Gust, and it can be used very similarly to Enough Magic, as we've seen throughout the tournament, for interrupting people that are trying to combo off, right? Or play their Time of Triumph. So going to be quality back and forth, I imagine, in this mirror match.
Now the Roseleaf Druid draw means that next turn, if some ramp is drawn, it could be a Time of Triumph for Petrify.
Yeah, and this turn, if we can see a second Stars Align, we could see some real fireworks from Swim in this middle lane.
That is why we see the draw going to the second lane, pairing with the red hero. So you have the chance of Stars Align from the green hero and the Time of Triumph payoff from the red hero. With Triad in lane 1, it means that it'll have to be a lane 2 Time of Triumph, which isn't as fantastic, but still pretty good.
And already getting some timer warnings, 15 seconds remaining during the deploy phase anyway. As you said, Swim likes to take his time, and there's no reason not to. Time is a resource. You don't want to
my goodness.
Overthink it, and wow.
The Helm, the first game, the ramp, the second game. There's no dual option in lane 2 with Treant, only Ion Shell playable, so already, I mean, this is not exciting for the viewers, but this might be game. Swim with the earlier Time of Triumph. He's going to really send it home here, and Petrify's reaction, I think, is going to be something to highlight.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you.
We'll see now in just a few seconds. Petrify, a very emotional player. Player that really shows when something does not go his way, when he thinks something, was lucky for the opponent. It's going to be a very, once you see the first Stars Align come down. And Swim knows, with only green hero here, there's no enough magic with 4 mana anyway, but there's no Gust. There's no Drow in the deck.
I was just getting ready to say, because it's Darkseer and not Drow, you do not have to worry about a Gust here. And with no red hero, even if you were worried about enough magic, right, they could Stars Align and then enough magic to stop you or something like that. Don't have to worry about that here, no red.
The only option would be a duel from Legion, for example, or Bristleback, but they are not in this lane. And Swim, he can think about this all he wants, but at the end of the day, we all know what's going to happen. Stars Align.
Let me show you who you are.
There it is.
And Petrify knows. Once one comes down, he knows what the second one's going to be. It's going to be another Stars Align. You'd never ramp just to 6 mana. For Berserker's Call, it would be crazy.
Just give me a little.
The second one comes down.
There's the second one, and there's the smile.
Petrify chuckles, and he knows that Swim has had luck going his way in this matchup. Trian survives on 1 HP, but does it really matter? I mean, that lane completely taken over by Swim this early on, and no ramp in hand, actually, for Petrify.
So, obviously, very good turn for Swim. But let's keep in mind, it's only 1 lane, right? No mobility in the form of Darkseer for Swim. So,
Blink Dagger not found either.
With Petrify, we have the option that if he finds his own Stars Align and takes over this first lane, he could bring the series back to being even, and things would still tip in his favor because of the Darkseer. So as good as that turn was, Petrify is not out of this game.
And because Darkseer has the Surge option available now, you can overcommit 3 heroes to lane 1 without any heroes in lane 3. Attempt to find your own Stars Align and ram the Time of Triumph, and we don't see enough magic in the list for Swim, so there isn't an option on 5 mana unless the Gust or a Duel comes down to kill his Darkseer. But we don't see it in hand right now. The call not there yet at 5 mana. So we'll see if Petrify can find it.
Very important draw.
He does not find it. A fully red hand for Petrify. Swim finds the Duel as well, so even if the Stars Align was there, with initiative for Swim, he has to think, what am I worried about? Stars Align. Does the Duel come down here on Darkseer?
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't imagine a world where Swim, I think that's what we saw a little bit of emotion, right? I think he just realized, like, oh, yeah, I have to do this.
So even if Petrify drew the Stars Align, still would not have done enough for him. The Surge ability now out of the way, so lane 3 completely empty for both players.
Yeah, and with a Gust in hand, Swim has the potential to delay Petrify even further as the game goes on. A couple of Berserker's calls. Essentially, Swim kind of has all the tools he needs.
The Duel comes down with Spot Weakness, able to kill this Axe regardless if it's 9 health with 2 armor there, for example. But Stonehawk Cloak will save Legion, so Petrify takes control of lane 1. Lane 2 very much in favor of Swim. Only 5 gold right now, but he will be killing Trine and 2 creeps, so he'll have the gold for a Blink Dagger. And he really has to find one next turn.
Yep. Now, Swim had the opportunity to modify modify Treant with the Viscous Nasal Goo just for long-term value, but did pass. So that lets me believe that Swim is thinking ahead to next round in terms of initiative.
The Gust can come down to leave Triad in this lane to kill it, to guarantee the kill this turn. Would silence the Blink Dagger as well.
That is correct. Silence does stop item activations, does stop passive abilities, active abilities on heroes.
And this will be the nail in the coffin for Petrify. I think he will not be happy even to see this Gust right now. He comes down. The Blink cannot be used. The Trine cannot be saved, and Roseleaf cannot be played in lane 3. To get some mana there as well. So the game very much in favor of Swim at the moment. Petrify does control lane 1.
Does control lane 1, but we get a couple of deployments now from Swim.
And there's a Blink Dagger as well.
I think it's entirely possible that Swim goes to this first lane, because there's no Time of Triumph there, so it's not too late to wrestle control back. I know that normally you look at a board like this and you say, okay, that first lane is, not in my favor, so I'll just go to the third where everything appears to be uncontested. But Swim realizes there is still plenty of time to wrestle control back of this first lane.
And the second Stars Align found for Swim. Still nothing for Petrify. The Slime in his favor available, but the hero, the green heroes are not there for Petrify anyway. And this will be a second Time of Triumph possibly in this first lane. And because the Blink Dagger has been equipped, it means that a second hero here, there's overkill on the lane number 2, can blink away to lane 3 and still take control of every single lane. And this again will just, I have to believe, will seal the deal here on Petrify. The second Time of Triumph coming down before anything can be done. Yeah,
it's entirely possible that Swim doesn't just play the Stars Line right here. I was going to say we might see some stalling with some item plays.
And now Berserker's calls an option onto the Treant, so Stonehawk Cloak comes in to save Treant, so Swim can still get his combo off. Never mind.
That's what Swim, I was going to say, that's what Swim was looking for. Swim was looking for Petrify to use some mana, because now, with the exception of Duel, there's nothing stopping you from doing this Stars Align into Time of Triumph for big value.
Well, the Duel with 3 mana is still available, so.
Well, and the thing is, it's not enough, actually, because Bristleback with the 12 health would be 1 off from Legion killing it.
Could have killed the Treant in that space to have 1 less hero with Time of Triumph, but still the Stars Line has already been played, so you can't stop the time. And this is the second Time of Triumph. Petrify still just watching as a spectator. His hero slowly getting killed every single turn. We'll see a blink here, possibly on the Legion to force a Berserker's Call at 6 mana in lane 3. And Swim will have full control of every single lane in this game.
Yeah, it is hard to imagine Petrify getting back into this. I mean, you're going to have access to at least one time of Triumph
The blink comes down, the
in the near
comes
future,
down.
but the problem is you're just way behind on tempo, right? Like the speed of the game is much faster for Swim right now.
So Swim giving up lane 3, says you can have it, takes his Legion to the first lane instead to try and just push through here with Berserker's Call next turn. Initiative is in favor of Petrify though, but because the ramp has not been found, if a Stars Align is played first, then the Berserker's Call can come down and should be able to sweep the Axe and maybe a green hero as well. Second lane has already been taken by Swim, basically at 2 HP and no one to contest.
Yep, I was going to say, Swim knows that second lane is just going to go down between both the hero and the presence, so loads up on this first lane.
And now even if Stars Align is found by Petrify, this Legion will take down Axe and Darkseer with it. So Stars Align is found. Petrify does have initiative. He plays it, and now Berserker's Call will come down.
Yep.
And seal the deal here. 33 damage coming through. You can have a blocker from Petrify to stall this out, but at this point you have to believe that the game might just be over. And the concede comes in, and the 2-0 sweep from Swim with, you have to say it, a bit of luck in his favor. The ramp and the helm both helping him seal the deal in the series, so Petrify not very happy, I think, with the outcome, but Swim, of course, moves on to top 4. It's in the money, and is able to just a 2-0 sweep, a very clean game from him.
Yeah, Petrify might not feel good about the outcome, but he can feel good about his play because I don't think there was anything that he could have done in either situation.
Yeah. Panel, what do you guys think about that fantastic non-RNG in the game?